We stopped last time talking about survival of the fittest, what it means to be fit in the environment. And today we're going to look at what Ross talked about on there, that scientific fact, that evidence that supports evolution. Okay? With evolution, we look back and it's evidence of a common ancestor. So for instance, you take all these bears. Are all these bears related? Yes, they're all related. They've got things in common, a lot of things in common. Could they have all come from one single organism? Some millions of years ago, could there have been one organism that somehow maybe got separated, population got separated, and they had to change? And now we have two new types of bears. And then one of those populations got changed again, got split again. And then over time, you get all these different varieties of bear. Could it have happened? Yes, it could happen. All right. So what we're going to look at is what evidence we have that supports whether a common ancestor was possible or not. So the first piece is fossils. We've talked about fossils before, very briefly, but fossils give us evidence that the earth has changed. Right. When we dig down deep into the earth, are we going to get real deep, are we going to find the same fossils down deep as we do up top? No. The further down we go, the older the organisms and the more primitive. What's the word primitive mean? Very delicate. Simple or basic. All right. Are we going to find human remains, human fossils, way down deep in the earth? Probably not. Okay. Are we going to find dinosaur fossils up close to the top? No, because they've been gone for millions of years. So the deeper we go, the older it gets. So the deeper we go down in the earth, the older it gets, the more primitive, more basic the organism. Right? How I compare this to cell phones. Y'all don't know the evolution of a cell phone because all you've known all your life are these up here. Okay. I remember when my parents first got a cell phone. It was a bag phone. It was about this big. Alright. Had a battery in it that was about that big inside that bag, and it had a hand pick up an old regular telephone, and it was connected to a wire that went in there. It had an antenna that was like that long on it. That was the first phone. You know what our plan was per month? 15 minutes a month. Because it's only used for an emergency. That's what cell phones were originally designed for. Be used in an emergency. The biggest plan you get, $15 minutes a month. And then you got, how many of you seen Saved by the Bell? It's an old TV show. And you got the Zach Morris brick phone. It's like that big, hold up, it's like the size of your head. That was the next step. Okay. Then you got the little smaller brick phones. Then you got the flip phones. Then you got the BlackBerry, which was the first so-called smartphone. All right? That's the evolution of a phone. The older it is, the more what? More simple. All right? Get more complex the further and further we go. Okay? I had my first phone that was mine, first cell phone, was a brick phone. It was about that big. It had 3 different antennas. Depending on where I was and how close I was to a tower, I had to change the antenna. I wouldn't get service. And my plan was like 30 minutes a month. It was only used in emergencies. Now, unlimited. Right? Because we don't use landlines anymore. How many of you have a landline in your house? Not many. Okay. That's the transition. That's the evolution of a cell phone. It tends to give us the same type of structure that fossils do. Okay. The second piece of evidence is geography. Y'all are all in geography. You know what that is. Study of what? The earth. The study of the earth. All right. So one piece of evidence to support this was what we found on the Canary Islands. Canary Islands is a small island chain right off the coast of Africa. First of all, if you take all of these islands and you piece them together like a puzzle, They all fit perfectly together. And they all fit right in this little notch of Africa. Because, going back with theories, all that used to be what? It used to be all connected. So we see organisms living here on this coast of Africa. We have the same species of organisms on these islands. Did they swim there? No. They all used to be right here together, and through that breaking apart, they got separated. Now that separating, are they all still the same species now? They're the same species, but are they all the same? Think about Darwin and the turtles. Were they all the same? No. You have that genetic variation based on environment, based on what they got to eat, because I guarantee you the stuff out here on this island is not going to be the same food sources here on the mainland Africa. So they have to adapt. Okay. So one example for these islands are the lizards that live there. It's the same family of lizards, but are they all different? They all have a slight difference based on what island they live on. Okay? They had to adapt. Some are longer, some are shorter, some have longer thin heads, some have a little short, stocky head. All depends on what that environment called for. Make sense? That's two pieces of evidence. The next one's going to be a little freaky for some of you. It's embryology. What does that word mean? You know? Study of embryo. What's an embryo?
Baby. Well, not a baby.
It's the first development of a fetus inside of the mother of any species. Okay? Now, I'm going to put a picture up here. I only want you to look at a certain part of it. I only want you to look at the top of the picture. Look at this line right here. Do these look similar?
Yeah.
They almost look identical. Every one of them is a different organism. We have humans over here. We have a lamprey on this side, which is a type of aquatic organism. But everything in between, we all look the same at this level. Does that give us some evidence that we all came from a common ancestor? Do we have similarities? You and a pig, I think there's a cat right there. You and a cat look the exact same when you were an embryo. You and a chicken look the exact same when you were an embryo. Are all these organisms related somehow? All right. How? Why? There's the questions. Okay. Over time, things change. Embryos stay the same. The beginning of life is still the same. But then it changes into a different organism based on where it is, what it needs, that type of stuff. Fourth piece is anatomy. What's anatomy? Physical characteristics, physical features. All right. There's three big definitions here that you got to know. First one's homologous structures. What's that prefix homo mean? The same. Same structure, different function. All right. It means it's built the same, but it's used for something different. So, our example: a bird's wing. Get these visuals in your head. A bird's wing, a dolphin fin, and a human arm are all homologous structures. They all have the exact same structure, but are they used for the same thing? Can we flap our arms and fly? You can get on top of the building, try it once, and that's it. Okay? Good Lord.
Unless you're a professional.
All right. But all of these are built the same. Here's a bird's wing. We look at the bones inside of it. A dolphin's fin and a human arm. Why does a dolphin need a hand inside that fin? Because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers inside that fin. Why?
So the fin can contort.
Fin doesn't change. Nope. Why does a bird need the same arm bones and fingers? Bird has fingers down here too, 5 of them, just like we have in our hand. Why does it need those? Does this say that these three things came from a common ancestor? They're built the same. Have the same bones. Look, there's the pink bone, pink bone, pink bone. There's all 5 digits, 5 digits, 5 digits. The two bones in the forearm, there's the two bones, there's the two bones. Are we all from a common ancestor? Okay. This gives evidence that we are. Take a whale's fins, its flippers, look the exact same as a dolphin. It's got 5 fingers in there. You can't see them, but they're in there. Okay. Why are they in there? Why does it need them? It doesn't wave, it doesn't pick things up, it doesn't use them to move and walk. Why does it need them? Okay. Same for the bird. Nope, that fin is straight.
Fin never.
The fin doesn't bend. Nope. Second one is vestigial structures. These are organs or structures that are in that organism, but they have no purpose anymore. We have one inside of us. We have an organ that serves absolutely no purpose inside of us. They could cut it out when you're born and you'd never know it. All it does is eventually it can cause problems, get infected, and you have to have it removed.
Oh, wisdom.
No.
It's an appendix. Your appendix serves no purpose. It does nothing for you. They can cut it out the day you're born and you will live the same exact life. Because it does nothing. But back in the history of man, you go back into the generations, millions of years ago, it served a purpose. Okay? Doesn't anymore. Could in another million years we have humans that don't have an appendix? Yeah, if it's not used, it gets evolved and bred out. I don't know.
Well, humans are different, right? Because it wouldn't get bred out, right? Because
Doesn't get used, it doesn't need it, not needed anymore.
natural selection.
Ostrich wings. Why does that big freaking bird need them little bitty wings? Can it fly? No. Does it do anything for them? Can they pick things up with them? No. Are they long enough to use to fight off predators? No, that thing will barely won't even reach past their stomach down here. They're like this long. That's it. Little bitty wings. Why are they there? Could in another million years the ostrich not have wings? Could evolve out of it. And the big one I like to use is whales have hip bones. Why do whales need hip bones? Do they have legs?
No.
But every whale, right back here at the back, in front of its tail, has hip bones. Why? Why are they there? Whales used to walk on land. This is the ancestor of a whale. They used to have legs. They used to be this is an organism that lived on land and sea. It can do both. Live both. But the theory is, and what happened is that this organism was on land. That was its primary place to live. It ran out of food. No more resources. Where did it have to go? Had to go to the water for resources. Well, if it goes in the water, that's where its food is. There's no food on land. Eventually, what happened over time? It got rid of the legs because it doesn't need them anymore. Could in another million years these hip bones be gone? Yes, because remember, this is a slow process. It doesn't just happen overnight. It happens generation. Okay? You can look it up. I think there's a video about the whale walking on land. Can't remember exactly the title, but it tells you the history of where this guy started and where we are now with whales. Okay? Whale, nope. That's a shark. That's something totally different. Because sharks don't have bones. Last one, analogous structures. The opposite of homologous. This is structures that are used for the same thing, but don't look the same. They're not built the same. This is evidence against evolution, in fact, right? Because these structures have the same use, but not built the same. So insect wing and a bat wing, are they both used for the same thing? What are wings used for? Used to fly. But here's an insect wing. What do insect wings not have? No bones. Just keratin or whatever protein that those wings are made out of. Here's a bat wing. What does it have? Bones. In fact, that bat wing has the exact same bones your arm has. It's got the shoulder bone right up here. Here's the top. From your shoulder to your elbow. It's got 2 bones right here, like in your forearm. And then all of these, you just look at the bones of a bat. It's got really short arm and really long fingers. All of these right here, you see that one, that one, that one. There's 5 of them. Those are the fingers of the arm bones. All right. So these structures are used for the same thing, but not the same. Not built the same. Evidence makes sense. Makes sense why people would think that evolution happened. Okay. Any of you changing your opinion? So with that, we look at variation. Genetic variation. All 3 of these are what? They're all frogs. But are they all exactly the same? No. All of these frogs are the same population of frog, but they have differences. Why do they need differences? Why do they need to have variety? This guy's poisonous. These 2 aren't. Okay. Why do we have to have variety in a species? Keep that question in mind. Every population shares a common gene pool. Okay. All of these penguins make up one population. These are all the exact same organism. They're all emperor penguins. Do they all have the exact same genes, though? They all have their variation of the gene. But when you take all of those genes out of every single one of those penguins, put it all together, that's our gene pool. That's what a gene pool is. Okay. We have a human gene pool. It's a lot more complex than that one on the board because we have a lot of different types of human. A lot of different species, different genes, different traits. Okay? But as a whole population, we take all of those big H, little h, big A, big A, little a's, all that from genetics, you put them all together, that's a gene pool. Okay? Variation among those organisms increases survivability. Why would we need a whole bunch of different, this is the question again, variations in a population? Right. Keep thinking about that. So bringing back some of those genetic terms, genetic variation leads to phenotypic variation. What's phenotype? What? What? Yeah, physical appearance. Why would we need variety of physical appearance within organisms? Well, don't think human. Think another organism.
Mating stuff.
Possible. So if I give you all these different pictures of moth wings, this is one population of moth. These are all the same moth. They all have different wing coloring, shading, markings. Why? Why would we need that?
Camouflage and to show like predators.
So we'll go further with that. If these moths lived in a forest, this population lives in a forest,
Survival.
and that forest, a forest fire comes through and it burns the entire forest. Which one of these moths is going to survive?
The one that is not enforced.
Everything is what now in that forest? It's all burnt. What does it look like?
The bottom black.
These 3 are going to survive because everything's burnt. They're going to blend in. These guys are going to stand out to predators. They're going to get eaten. Just because 9 out of the 12 got eaten, though, does the population still survive? Yes. Take another scenario. Same forest, same moths. We have a drought. Grass doesn't grow, turns brown. Leaves on trees turn brown. What's going to happen? The lighter ones that look like the dead leaves of dead grass are going to survive. The darker ones are going to get eaten. But did the population still survive? Why do we need genetic variation within a population? You want to ensure the survival of that population. If everybody looked the exact same, one single event could wipe out that entire population. And it's gone. And can it ever come back? Nope. Once it's extinct, it's extinct. Okay. That leads us to allele frequencies. Every organism has a specific frequency of traits that are seen. Right? This goes back to our genetics stuff. So we look at this pond here. We got 6 frogs. Which trait is more frequent? Happens more often in these frogs? We'll look at a single allele. Which single allele is more prominent?
Green. Big G.
Big G. All right. What's that mean about the guys that just have little g's? Do they fit into that environment? No. They're eventually going to, if they're homozygous recessive, they're going to get weeded out. Does that mean we can't get them back? How can we get them back? What's up here? If we got 2 organisms that have little g, even though they have the big G, could they have a baby that has homozygous recessive? Yes. So you see that in and out. Gene disappears, a couple generations later it comes back. Okay? Depending on what is more common, more frequent, and what is needed. So variation comes from several places. Mutations is one. We've talked about mutations before. Random change in DNA. Can form new alleles. We've talked about this. What's a point mutation? A change at one single point, one single base is changed. Can that be a good thing?
Yes.
Yeah, it can be. Can be a good thing. Can it be passed down?
Yes.
Where does it have to happen in the organism for it to be passed down? What type of cells?
Sex cells or gamete cells.
Yeah, has to happen in the sex cells for it to be passed down. All right, so my example, you got a rabbit, a black rabbit that lives in the snow. Is that a good thing?
No.
But what if he has something happens, he has mutation in his DNA that makes his fur turn to white? Is that a good thing? Yes. Is he going to pass that down to his kids?
No. Maybe.
Only if it happens in all of his cells, including the sex chromosome. If not, all of his kids are going to be what color?
Black.
Black. Are they going to survive in the snow?
Maybe if they have a chances are down.
Chances are very slim, because they're probably going to get eaten by some predator. Okay. So, as we said, not all mutations are bad. If it helps them fit in the environment, it's good. Okay. Mutation, that's a word that generally people tag it as a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing. Okay. It helps them be more fit and have a higher survivability. It's a good thing. And not all can be passed on. Has to be in their sex cells to be passed on. Okay. It's like you could have a mutation. You could, knock on wood, hope it never happens, you could develop cancer. Does that mean your kids are going to get it? Only if it affects your sperm or eggs will your kids get it. If it's just in you, now are they higher susceptibility to it? Yes, because you got it. So something happened in your genes, they have your genes, they have a higher susceptibility for it to happen, but that doesn't mean they're going to get it just because you have it. Recombination, we talked about this in genetics as well. This is another way mutations happen, another way variation happens, is that crossing over of chromosomes during meiosis. Meiosis is what? Making of what type of cells? Making of sex cells. All right. You ever seen a kid that looks totally different than both their parents and like, how did that kid come from those two parents? This is a possible way that happens. All right. Possible way that happens. You got a family that is all blonde and then all of a sudden they have a kid with black hair. Does it mean they were bad? No, because something like this could have happened. All right. When mom and dad's egg and sperm were being made, could have had something like this happen. Now they got a kid with black hair. The key concept here, the key fact, is individuals cannot evolve. All right? If one of these penguins evolves and changes, say there's an epidemic where a disease that's going to kill all these penguins, one of them has a mutation, it adapts, it changes, it doesn't die. Is that evolution? Did they evolve? If there's one penguin left, the rest of them are gone, what happens to that population? It goes away, because what can't that one penguin do?
Well, there is the off chance that it was a female and it was pregnant, and then they gave birth to a boy, and then
Yeah, but
it
it's
became
still,
another
the disease
baby.
could kill them. It cannot reproduce by itself. All right? The entire population has to evolve. Now, if there was a group of 10 of them out of these thousands of penguins that evolved, would the population still be there? Yes, because the population is that group. That group of 10 becomes the new population after the rest of them are gone. So the population evolved. One single organism can't. Okay. Does that make sense? Questions? All right. I don't want to